Heartwarming truth revealed. Billionaire discovers incredible fate of three poor triplets kicked out. Jack Hudson's heart raced as he navigated the familiar streets of Willow Creek. It had been years since he left the quaint town, and now it felt like an eternity. The air was thick with nostalgia, each twist and turn of the road pulling memories to the surface. With every passing tree and uneven sidewalk, he recalled his father, his strong hand on Jack's shoulder, urging him to dream big, even when the weight of poverty pressed heavily on their shoulders. Jack clenched the steering wheel. A mix of guilt and determination swirled within him. His old man had fought hard against life's unfairness, remnants of that battle still echoing in the alleys of his childhood. Jack parked outside his childhood home, now worn down by time. The once vibrant blue paint was peeling, its cheerful spirit faded. He stepped out and inhaled deeply. The smell of wet earth mixed with the distant laughter of children, a bittersweet reminder of innocence amidst struggle. He couldn't shake the feeling that he owed this town, that he needed to give back in ways his father would have admired. As he wandered, memories flooded back, playing hide and seek, running barefoot through fields, and his father encouraging him to rise above the odds. But the glaring contrast of Willow Creek's current state weighed heavy on him. Families struggling, lives lost to addiction. It was a heartbreaking reality he could no longer ignore. A sudden burst of laughter pulled him from his reverie. Down the street, huddled on the steps of a dilapidated house, were three triplets: Sam, Lily, and Max. Their laughter danced through the dilapidated neighborhood, a deceptive light in a shadowed world. Jack felt both drawn to and weary of their joy, knowing it belonged to a place of pain. The triplets were barely holding on to their childhood, having been kicked out by parents lost to addiction. Jack approached cautiously. "Hey there, mind if I join you?" The children eyed him warily. The fierce glint in their eyes spoke volumes. They had learned to protect what little they had. Their pride was palpable as they dismissed his offer of help. Jack recognized that defiance. It mirrored his own struggles and it tugged at his heart. The days turned into weeks as Jack spent time with them, sharing stories filled with hope amidst despair. They spoke of dreams and resilience, and bit by bit, Jack noticed a change within himself. They reminded him of the core American values he believed in: hard work, family, hope against all odds. But somewhere beneath those ideals, guilt gnawed at him. Was he just a wealthy outsider with a savior complex? Just before he could solidify his plans to help them climb out from the depths of their situation, he learned the harsh truth about the systemic injustices that held them back. Jack felt an urgency to act, a fire igniting deep within him. But just as he thought it was time for change, the triplets faced a crisis that threatened their fragile stability. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jack watched as fear replaced laughter in their eyes, and the realization struck him hard. Could he truly break through the walls of pride and pain to offer them justice, or would he continue to be just another distant memory of wealth? As the dark night closed in, Jack Hudson faced a decision that could change everything. Could he truly help those who had lost so much? The air was thick with tension, time racing forward as hope flickered against all odds. In the dim light of the evening, Jack felt the weight of the triplets' troubles pressing down on his chest. Sam, Lily, and Max had become more than just kids he spent time with. They were a piece of his own heart, a reflection of the vulnerabilities he'd long tried to forget. Their laughter now seemed fragile like glass, ready to shatter at the slightest bump in their already tumultuous lives. Jack couldn't shake the growing sense of urgency. He knew he had to do something, but the question loomed larger each day. What exactly could he offer that wouldn't come off as nothing more than a fleeting charity? He wanted to empower them, not merely donate a few dollars. He envisioned a plan, one that involved not just giving them handouts but investing in their future. As he sat down on the curb beside them one evening, he shared an idea that had churned in his mind. What if we start a community garden? We could grow fresh vegetables for everyone around here. People could come together, help each other out, and who knows, maybe even a little market on weekends. The triplets exchanged glances, their expressions filled with hope and skepticism. Sam, the eldest, replied cautiously, "That sounds nice, but do you think folks around here will care?" Jack smiled softly. "They will if we show them it can work. Every great idea starts with one little spark." He could see the flicker of interest igniting deep within them. Could this be the moment he needed to inspire them? Lily, always a free spirit, chimed in. "I used to help my mom in her garden before. You know." Her voice faded, but Jack caught the determination flicker across her face. "What if we get together in the mornings? We could plan what to grow, and I'll bring the supplies," Jack proposed. "This is our land and we can reclaim it." Max nodded vigorously, his usual shyness melting away. "We could make it big, like a whole farm." The spark in their eyes made Jack's heart swell. But just as quickly the shadows returned. What if they couldn't follow through? What if their parents re-entered the picture, dragging them back into a world of chaos? Jack felt his heart drop at the thought. That afternoon, the triplets rushed off to gather their friends, buzzing with excitement about the idea. Jack stood still, watching them run off, hope blooming like the flowers he wished to plant. But doubt crept in alongside it. Was he setting them up for disappointment? Weeks rolled by, and as Jack whipped up a plan for the garden, the triplets tackled their own worries. They navigated neighborhood challenges, gathering support from those who had also faced life's unforgiving hand. Each obstacle they overcame stitched them closer together. Jack was amazed by their resilience. They inspired him. But as they progressed, an unexpected challenge arose. Rumors spread about the triplets' plans, and some neighbors voiced their skepticism, reluctant to believe things could change. Jack felt the walls closing in again, the weight of their disapproval pressing on his shoulders. Before they could begin digging the first hole, a confrontation erupted. One of the skeptics, a gruff man named Frank, challenged Jack directly. "What do you know about this place? You come here with your money and think you can fix everything. These kids need more than just a garden." Jack looked at the man, feeling the fire of anger surge within him, but quickly tempered it with compassion. "I know what it's like to fight against the odds. Let us work together instead of tearing each other apart." The air crackled between them, tension thick as a summer storm. Jack could either back down or stand firm in his conviction. The triplets watched silently, their futures hinging on how he reacted. Could he convince the community that this was about more than just soil and seeds? Could he really create a haven for the triplets and others like them? As the storm of emotions swirled around him, Jack stared into the growing crowd. The moment felt monumental, and he knew he was at a crossroads. All that stood in front of him was fear. Yet what lay behind it was the possibility of change. And in that moment he realized, to fight for someone else's hope, he first had to battle his own fears. Would he find the courage to confront the darkness, or would the whispers of doubt silence the plans before they could even begin? Jack took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment like a physical thing pressing against his chest. The eyes of the triplets were on him, filled with hope but also uncertainty. Did they believe in him? Did they trust that he could make the impossible possible? "Listen," Jack began again, his voice steady but tinged with urgency. He turned to face Frank, meeting his glare head-on. "I know it seems like I'm just some outsider throwing money around, but that's not what this is. This garden, this is about us. It's about providing opportunities, creating a place everyone can share and grow together, literally and figuratively." Murmurs flicked through the crowd, faces turned in curiosity. Just behind Frank, Jack spotted a few familiar faces of those who had suffered like the triplets. It was time to open up. "We've all faced our battles, haven't we? And maybe we're all tired of being at each other's throats. But a garden? It's a starting point. And if you give it a chance, you might be surprised at what we can cultivate together." Frank's expression softened slightly, maybe just a crack in his fortress. Jack could sense a shift in the atmosphere. When a deep voice resonated from the back, he turned to find Claire, a middle-aged woman who everyone appeared to respect. "I know the triplets," she called. "I've watched them struggle." Jack's willing to invest his time. "Time is money," Frank retorted, crossing his arms, but Jack could see the people behind him nodding thoughtfully. This was it, Jack realized. It wasn't about fighting but rallying the community around a vision that transcended walls and doubts. "Okay, maybe I don't know this place," he said, lifting his chin higher. "But I want to learn. Let us do this together. Not just for the triplets but for everyone who felt alone. There was a buzz in the crowd now. Someone shouted, "We want to get involved. We need hope." Jack chased that energy. "Let's hold a meeting tomorrow at the park. Everyone who wants to help can come. We can share ideas about this garden. It could be ours to build, ours to take care of." From the triplets, Sam stepped forward. "Yeah, we could do workshops. Teach people how to grow their own food." Lily added, "And have fun days. Games for kids." Max took a bold step. "We can make it so beautiful that everyone will want to be part of it." The atmosphere shifted again as murmurs grew excited. Frank hesitated, still unsure, but the desperation in his eyes shifted to contemplation. Could this actually work? And then Jack saw something in Frank's expression, a hint of possibility, tinged with curiosity. What if the very thing they needed, the unity, the healing, was nestled within their shared efforts? "Tomorrow," Jack said, almost to himself, feeling the pulse of change beginning to beat. "We'll figure it all out together." As the crowd started to disperse, Jack felt the weight lift a bit. The triplets surrounded him, their eyes alight with renewed hope. "You think people will really come?" Max asked, uncertain yet hopeful. "I think they will," Jack replied, his heart beating stronger. "But now we have to make sure they feel welcome." In the ensuing discussions that night, doubts loomed over Jack like shadows, but he fought to dismiss them. They might just face another storm. But he was ready to weather it with the triplets. They were ready. As evening settled, Jack glanced at the empty patch of land where their garden would rise. No one knew what tomorrow would bring, but the connection was there. It shimmered with the promise of a brighter dawn. And right then, Jack realized that their journey wasn't just about planting seeds in the ground. It was about planting hope in hearts. But still, looming was the question of how to sustain that growing hope. What would they discover at their first meeting? Would the community accept them, or would they still face resistance? Jack awoke the next morning to the sound of birds chirping outside his window. The sun streamed in, spilling over the room and spreading warmth that mirrored the pulse of hope swelling within him. He pulled on a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, aware that today was a pivotal moment not just for him, but for the triplets and everyone else in the community. As he made his way toward the park, his mind raced with possibilities. What if they faced rejection? What if Frank showed up, arms crossed and ready to shut it all down? But deep down he felt that something was different today. Maybe it was the energy from the previous night, brewing excitement among the people. When he arrived at the park, he could hardly believe his eyes. A small group had formed, some familiar faces he recognized from the night before and others he had never seen. The sight both thrilled and terrified him, reminding him that this was their chance, their moment. "Jack!" Sam beamed, rushing over to him. "Look, more people came." Jack's heart swelled. "Wow, this is amazing. What's the plan?" Lily asked, bouncing on her toes, her face bright with anticipation. "We start by introducing each other," Jack said, trying to gauge the crowd's mood. "I want to hear everyone's ideas about the garden." Claire stepped forward, holding a notepad. "Who wants to go first?" Nervous hands shot up, and Jack felt the energy radiating. The first speaker was a young man named David who shared how gardening had helped his family during difficult times. "It was a way to bring us together, even when things were tough," he said, eyes shining with nostalgia. With each story shared, Jack noticed walls crumbling. Their laughter blended with anticipation, their hopes intertwining in the warm air. Sam and Lily chimed in, excitedly recounting their dreams for workshops and community events. But just as the atmosphere felt electric, dark clouds rolled in as Frank appeared, arms folded tightly across his chest. "What's all this fuss about?" he barked. "You think you can change everything by digging in some dirt?" The crowd's energy faltered, and Jack felt a chill chase away the warmth that had settled in his chest. He took a step forward, channeling the energy he had felt just moments before. "We're not just digging in dirt, Frank. We're building something bigger: community, trust, hope. You can't fight that with negativity." Frank scoffed, but Jack caught a flicker of interest in his eyes. Maybe he wasn't entirely closed off. "All right, if you think you can do this," Frank said, his tone softening slightly, "show me the numbers. Where's the funding coming from?" Jack felt his heart drop. He hadn't planned for questions like this. Cash flow was a real concern, and he hoped the community-driven spirit could bridge that gap. But maybe this was his opportunity. I can find resources, Jack stammered, fighting to keep his voice steady. I want to get local businesses involved. We'll ask for donations, sponsor events, sell produce to reinvest back into the garden. The crowd murmured in agreement, energized by something tangible. I'll help, Claire offered, stepping forward. We can organize bake sales, and I know a few local farmers who might want to pitch in. This can be real. Eyes turned to Frank, still skeptical but visibly less hostile. This was the crack Jack had been waiting for. Let us take a vote, Jack proposed, gathering his courage. Who wants to try? Who believes we can make this work? Hands shot up, each face ignited with a sense of purpose. Jack's heart soared but then twisted with anxiety. But what if Frank actually has a point? What if everything falls apart? As impressive as the turnout was, he sensed how fragile the moment was and realized something had shifted within him. He couldn't let fear win now. Then we'll face it together, he whispered to himself, feeling the weight of the moment again settle onto his shoulders. But the real question remained, could they all rally behind this idea? Or would it become just a fleeting hope? As everyone fell into discussions, Jack couldn't help but wonder what challenges lay ahead. Would Frank finally find a path for himself within this garden of hope? And would he be the ally they desperately needed? The crowd buzzed around Jack, enthusiasm mingling with uncertainty. The sun warmed their backs, but a shadow flickered over Jack's heart as he turned to face Frank. He could see that the older man was still sizing them up, a serious look evident on his face. It was time to move beyond just ideas. Let us sketch out a plan, Jack proposed, wiping his palms on his jeans. We can write down what we need to get started. Let us identify local resources, people who will support this. Frank raised an eyebrow, unimpressed. You really think everyone will want to get involved? What's in it for them? Jack knew he had to respond or risk losing the moment. Because they'll be part of something meaningful, he said, trying to sound confident. A garden is not just acres of land. It's a place for everyone to come together, bond, share stories. It can become a lifeline for this community. Lily stepped up, her voice bright. We can host family days, market events, and even have a gazebo for concerts. People love the outdoors. They'll support us. Jack glanced at Frank, hoping to read his response. But the skepticism lingered in his eyes. Then he noticed it, the tight lines of doubt in Frank's face were slowly releasing, like the sun breaking through clouds. All right, show me the numbers, Frank said again. But this time Jack sensed a hint of challenge rather than dismissal. A wave of adrenaline surged through him. We will, Jack exclaimed. We'll make a proposal that outlines everything. Let us set a meeting for next week. More community members can join, and we can gather input from local business owners. The crowd murmured its approval, eyes brightening with each word. Things were shifting faster than he anticipated as the planning intensified. Jack's mind raced. He could feel the weight of responsibility building inside him, but it wasn't just fear anymore. It was fire. The sense of possibility ignited discussions about workshops, youth involvement, and skill sharing. Each contribution added to the growing vision. Hours flew by until the sun hung low, painting the sky in hues of pink and orange. The energy was electric. Each voice echoed hope, and Jack felt almost buoyant. Sam spun around, declaring a sketch for the garden layout that included scores of colorful flowers and vegetables, everything vibrant and full of life, as if reflecting their spirit. But it wasn't all easy. As conversations flowed, Frank remained a looming figure at the edge of the gathering, challenging every detail, every plan. Jack couldn't ignore it. He needed Frank's support not just for funding but for the strength his presence would provide. The truth is, Frank said suddenly, catching Jack off guard, this area has seen enough failed projects. You don't just need money. You need a vision that will last. His voice dropped, the vacillation between doubt and curiosity evident. Then help us shape it, Frank. Your experience can guide us. Jack replied, glancing at the eager faces around him. Together we can make this something the community is proud of. Prove everyone wrong. Frank paused, and the silence wrapped around them. Jack's heart raced. What would it take to change Frank's mind? Slowly Frank seemed to soften. All right, let us see this proposal. But I want a hand in this. Cheers erupted from the crowd behind Jack, the sound buoying him. He felt a rush of relief, but it was quickly overshadowed by a nagging doubt: was their newfound alliance really solid? Or was Frank simply waiting for them to fail? Before Jack could spiral into those thoughts, a voice cut through the air. It was Claire, enthusiasm bubbling over. "Okay, everyone. Let us dig into our plans, we've got a garden to grow." As they dispersed into smaller groups, Jack found himself standing behind for a moment, staring at the setting sun. That fleeting warmth felt both comforting and heavy, a reminder of the challenges that still loomed. It may have been just a beginning, but it felt monumental. And then, just as he turned to rejoin the discussions, Jack caught sight of Frank's contemplative expression, and worry niggled at him again. Could they really balance the hopes of the community against the harsh truth of Frank's experience? Perhaps the path ahead would be the most challenging part of their journey. Would they be able to thrive under the weight of these expectations, or would they crumble under pressure? As Jack stepped forward, all he could think was what would happen when the first storm came? They were about to find out. Jack jumped into the planning frenzy, his heart racing with a mix of hope and uncertainty. The community was buzzing, and for the first time he felt like they were on the edge of something monumental. "I'll start drafting the proposal tonight," he announced, the excitement pouring from him like the last rays of sunlight. "We can meet at my house tomorrow to brainstorm ideas and gather input from everyone interested." The group nodded in agreement, and he could see the flicker of engagement in their eyes. People shuffled off into small clusters, buzzing with excitement, but Jack caught Frank's eye one more time. The older man seemed lost in thought, his brows knit together as if wrestling with a silent battle. Jack approached him cautiously, a friendly smile on his face. "Frank, I appreciate you agreeing to help us. I know you have a lot of experience and we could really use your insight." Frank turned, studying Jack with a sober expression. "Experience can sharpen a knife or cut a wound. I hope you know which one you're using this time." His gaze pierced Jack, the weight of his words pressing down like an unexpected storm cloud. "Let us make it a healing knife," Jack replied, determination fueling his words. "We can fix what's broken." Frank nodded, though skepticism still clouded his gaze. "Remember, this is just the beginning." As the last bits of sunlight vanished, the gang of dream chasers filtered out one by one, leaving Jack alone with the remnants of their charged atmosphere. He walked home with his mind racing. Plans danced like shadows in his thoughts, but a question lingered. What if Frank wasn't the only one holding back? What if others had doubts too, hidden behind smiles and superficial enthusiasm? The following morning came too quickly. Jack gathered a few eager faces in his living room, where notes were spread out on a makeshift table. Claire arrived, arms bursting with snacks, her excitement infectious. "We're ready to rock this proposal," she chirped, hands on her hips. As they sat in a circle, each voice contributed energy, blending dreams into a vibrant tapestry. "Let us focus on community events," Sam suggested. "We can do potlucks, art fairs, even local farmer markets. It'll get people talking." Nods of agreement rippled through the group, and Jack felt a swell of enthusiasm. "Great ideas. And let us not forget about the youth involvement. We can have school projects tied to the garden. They'll learn, contribute, and feel ownership." "But wait," Claire interrupted suddenly. Her voice softened, a frown forming. "How do we keep this from falling apart like all the other attempts? What stops a storm from washing it all away?" Jack paused. She was right. Maybe we should address potential setbacks in our proposal too. A clear plan can guide us, keep us reminding ourselves why we started. The mood shifted, becoming more profound. They found themselves deep in conversation about risks, long-term commitment, and how to navigate through difficulties. As they brainstormed, the energy was undeniably thick with potential. This was more than a garden. It was a revival of hope. Hours later, they emerged from Jack's house, confidence blooming in their hearts and plans ready to take shape. Frank was at the meeting point the next day, standing as a guardian bear watching over the fledgling idea. Nervous but resolute, Jack swallowed hard. Their proposal was handed to Frank, the weight of it heavy in his hands. Each suggestion, each detail felt like a slice of vulnerability laid bare. "Here it is," Jack said, voice barely above a whisper. "This is our vision." Frank scanned the pages, the silence stretching like a taut rope. Just when Jack thought he might burst from anxiety, Frank's face softened, a flicker of appreciation twinkling in his eyes. "You've got heart," he said at last. "But do you have what it takes to see it through when the clouds roll in?" The pit of Jack's stomach twisted. "We will," he asserted, even as shadows of doubt threaded through his mind. Would they really be ready when the real storms came? Suddenly a rumble echoed in the distance, a clear warning of dark skies approaching. The storm had arrived sooner than they expected, but so had their chance to truly test themselves. Would they weather the chaos, or would it sweep their plans away? As Jack watched the dark clouds gather, he knew they were standing at the edge of something much bigger than just a garden, and they were about to find out just how far they were willing to go. Jack stood at the edge of the town park, heart pounding as the clouds loomed overhead. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves like whispered warnings. He felt the weight of the proposal in his hands, but it was more than just words on a page. With each gust of wind, the stakes felt higher. This was about faith and community, a lifeline tossed into troubled waters. "All right, folks," he called out, looking at the small group that had gathered, a mix of hopefuls and skeptics. "We've got Frank's support, and that's big. Now we just need to shake off the storm inside us." He noticed Claire biting her lip, glancing nervously at the darkening sky. "What if no one shows up?" Claire asked, her voice barely rising above the increasing wind. "What if we put all this work in and the community just ignores it?" Jack felt her fear echoing through the others. He took a breath, ready to speak from the heart. "We are the ones taking the first step. Even if today goes sideways, we can't lose sight of why we started. This garden isn't just about plants. It's about bringing us together. If we believe in it, others will too." The murmurs of agreement rippled through the group, hearts sinking with a shared resolve. "Yeah," Sam added, "we've tried before and it didn't work. But that just means we learn. Look at us, we're not giving up." Jack could see a flicker of hope in the group's eyes, the shadows lifting just a bit. "Exactly. We're building something that has the power to change lives. Maybe right now it's hard to see through the clouds. But soon we'll push back the storm and together we'll shine brighter than any thunder." As they gathered around a weathered picnic table under the park's large oak, Jack opened the proposal. "Let us go through this step by step. We need to be ready, not just with a plan but with the spirit to make it happen. Let us rally the community, knock on doors, share our vision." Claire and Sam leaned in closer, sharing quick notes and ideas. Jack watched as enthusiasm bloomed, a vine stretching out under the growing light. He could see that the fear in Claire's eyes started to shift. But then Frank cleared his throat, drawing attention. "You know," he said slowly, "I believe in this. I've been part of many dreams. Some bloomed, others wilted. It's not just storms from the weather we fight, but the storms that live inside. If we fail, it won't be the end. It'll just be a lesson. We pick up and try again." His words struck Jack like a lightning bolt, igniting something fierce inside him. Frank's wisdom was daunting yet empowering. This wasn't just about today. It was an odyssey fraught with ups and downs, and they had to be ready for each twist. Suddenly, a bolt of light flashed through the darkened sky, and thunder clapped, startling the group. "Let us think of today as our thunder," Jack said, his voice gaining strength. "An omen of change. We'll face every storm together." One by one they shared their fears and aspirations. Laughter and promises twisted through the air like the approaching storm. As they spoke, Jack could feel a surge of conviction rising within him. This was more than just a community garden. It was the beating heart of a movement. Just as they compiled their notes for the town meeting, a figure appeared at the edge of the park, silhouetted against the darkening sky. Jack squinted, curiosity gnawing at him. It was a stranger, but what brought him here? "Who is that?" Claire murmured, glancing over. Jack's heart raced again as he wondered what role this newcomer would play in their journey. Hope swelled in the pit of his stomach, tangled with apprehension. The storm outside mirrored the chaos within. As the stranger moved closer, Jack knew they were about to be tested in ways they never expected. Would this new face become an ally? Or would they face another setback on their journey? The winds howled, a fitting backdrop for the next chapter of their story. What would this storm reveal about their strength? Jack squinted through the haze of the approaching storm, trying to make out the features of the stranger stepping onto the park's grass. Each step taken was tentative, almost as if the man was weighing the ground beneath him with every footfall. A flicker of doubt crossed Jack's mind. What if this person was yet another obstacle? The wind picked up movements of the leaves, swirling around them like selected thoughts from the community. Alongside him, Claire tugged at the ends of her sweater, the uncertainty hanging heavily in her gaze. Should we approach him? She whispered, barely audible over the thunder rumbling in the distance. Before Jack could respond, the stranger's face emerged from the shadows. He was middle-aged, with disheveled hair and piercing blue eyes that seemed to hold stories of their own. He wore a jacket that looked like it had seen many seasons, and Jack noted its frayed cuffs. "Hello," the man called, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. "I heard about the garden proposal. I think what you're trying to do is beautiful." This unexpected compliment caught everyone off guard. Jack felt a mix of disbelief and cautious hope. "You know about the garden?" he asked, stepping closer to gauge the sincerity behind those words. "I do," the stranger replied, taking one more careful step forward. "I've been watching. I'm a traveler and I found my way to your town just as the storm started brewing." "Why do you care?" Sam chimed in. "We don't even know you." "I care because community matters," the stranger said, his expression softening. "Too many places crumble when people forget to connect, to nurture each other, just like plants. I'm not here to judge. I'm here because I believe in what you're trying to do. After all, I've seen my share of stormy skies." Jack exchanged glances with Claire and Sam, a surge of interest weaving through their small circle. "How can you help?" Jack asked, wanting to cut to the chase. The man's lips curled into a slight smile. "I could help you with resources, guidance, maybe even funding. But what's more important is the connections you create. I can give you tools, but you have to plant the seeds." "Wait, you're saying you'll fund our garden?" Claire stammered, a blend of disbelief and longing in her eyes. "I know that money alone doesn't bring change," he said, "but it can help people dream again. And right now that's what you need, isn't it?" Excitement bubbled through the group as Jack processed the weight of this man's offer. Could it be true? A lifeline in the form of a stranger. A whisper of hope amidst the gathering storm. "Let us say we're on board, what's the catch?" Sam pressed, ever the skeptic. "There's no catch. Just commitment," the stranger replied, his eyes narrowing with genuine interest. "Your commitment to this vision will determine how far it goes. And I'll be here to help you fulfill that promise." Jack felt a swell of responsibility welling up inside him. This was no longer just about bringing a community together, it was about believing in themselves, believing in the people who would carry this vision forward. As they stood there clenching hands and stealing glances of determination, a rumble of thunder rolled overhead, interrupting the moment. Jack's heart raced, matching the intensity of the storm starting to descend upon them. "Let us get to work then," Jack said, taking a breath. "We have a vision to build and storms to weather." Before they could move, the stranger stepped closer, his eyes glinting in the dim light. "And remember, sometimes, it's not just the storms you battle outside that matter, but the ones inside that truly define who you are. Embrace that." With that, as if the skies were answering their cries, rain began to fall. Each drop sparkled under the flash of lightning, a reminder that every storm could bring renewal. As they banded together, Jack, Claire, Sam, and the stranger, Jack realized this was just the beginning. The future was still swirling in uncertainty, but perhaps within that storm lay an opportunity for transformation. Yet just as they set to discuss their plans, their phones buzzed with messages, faces appearing in their group chat. The hashtag #StopTheGarden began trending. The whispers of opposition started to grow. What had they stirred up? Jack's heart sank at the thought. Were they truly ready for what came next? Jack's stomach twisted as he read the first message. It was from Mia, a friend and a fellow community member who frowned upon change. "Did you guys see this? Stop the Garden is trending. They're calling you dreamers and fools." The rain intensified, underscoring Mia's words. His heart thudded heavily in his chest. It seemed like every flicker of hope they had just shared, every glimmer of possibility, was under siege. The vibrant garden they envisioned now felt like a fragile dream against the raging storm. "What do we do?" Claire asked, anxiety etched across her face. They were standing in the middle of the park, their beautiful plans now tainted by looming doubt. Jack noticed the stranger's composed demeanor, a stark contrast to their growing despair. "Let them speak," the stranger said firmly. Every journey has its critics. What matters is how you respond to them. Use this moment to reflect on what you truly believe. Easier said than done. Sam crossed his arms defensively. What if their opinions spread? They'll think we're just wasting money, wasting time. Jack shook his head. No, we can't let fear dictate our actions. This is bigger than us, it's about the whole town coming together. As the words left his mouth, he felt a spark of resolve reigniting. He looked at Claire and Sam, determination washing over him. Let us unite our voices. Let us show them what this garden can mean. The stranger nodded approvingly, his eyes glimmering with encouragement. You need to rally your community. Create a message filled with hope, showing what the garden represents. New beginnings and connections. Claire took a deep breath, her spirit lifting as she began to understand their mission. You're right. We have to reach out. Maybe we can host a community meeting. Let people voice their concerns and showcase our vision. Exactly, Jack agreed. Let us invite everyone, the skeptics, the supporters, everyone. We can introduce them to our plans, share our dreams, and let them see what the garden can create for all of us. With renewed enthusiasm, they texted furiously in the chat, crafting a message inviting the entire town to an open meeting in the park next week. It would be a chance for everyone to come together, as neighbors, discussions, brainstorming, and perhaps laying the foundations for trust. As the rain slowed, the atmosphere shifted. What had felt murky moments ago now sparkled with possibility. But just then Claire's phone chimed again. Oh no, look! She exclaimed, her face paling. A new message appeared, a video clip of Jack saying they had support from a mysterious stranger, with the title Billionaire Funds Garden for Scientists. What are they hiding? Great. Now they think we're in cahoots with some rich guy, Sam groaned. The stranger placed a hand on Jack's shoulder. Let them talk. But remember, every voice brings a different perspective. If this is the path you choose, standing their ground with honesty is vital. Jack's voice resonated through the dripping leaves, despite the fear creeping up his spine. If they want answers, we'll give them answers. We can't hide from our intentions. He squeezed Claire's hand, feeling the warmth of determination blooming. But inside dread churned. As they pushed to clarify their messages, something echoed in pop culture about billionaires controlling narratives, and Jack's heart whispered a caution. What if this stranger wasn't exactly who they believed? The journey ahead was winding and uncertain, and they were standing at a crossroads. As new messages swirled onto their screens, a metallic taste lingered in Jack's mouth. Were they ready for the battle ahead? Could a garden truly grow from this storm? Jack stood at the center of the park, a whirlwind of emotions coursing through him as the gathered crowd buzzed with mixed excitement and skepticism. The hashtags, the naysayers, the whispers, they all swirled together to create a tempest that threatened what they had built. But one thing resonated deep within his chest. This garden symbolized hope, connection, and resilience. As Claire, Sam, and the stranger whose name he finally learned was Ryan stood at his side, Jack felt an electric energy hum through them. All right, everyone, he called, raising his hands to quiet the murmurs. Thank you all for being here today. We know there are questions, concerns, and maybe some doubts about our vision, but we've created this space to share openly and listen to one another. The crowd quieted, eyes focused on him. Jack took a deep breath, the weight of the moment settling on his shoulders. We've faced storms before, but today we're here to plant seeds together. Not just in the ground but in our hearts and minds. This is not just about a garden. It's about us as a community. About what we want for our future. As he spoke, he felt a pull toward the faces around him. Neighbors, friends, and skeptics stood united in their fears and hopes. Ryan stepped forward, his eyes scanning the crowd. I'm here because I believe in this community's spirit. I've seen what can happen when people rally together. While I can help with some resources, the heart of this project lies with you all. You are the lifeblood of this dream. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, but Jack noticed Frank lurking at the back, arms crossed, still skeptical. Jack felt the familiar knot of doubt tighten around him, but he pushed through. Let us keep this real. We'll face challenges, there's no denying that. Some will not believe. But we must show them our commitment, our voices unified. Sam chimed in, his youthful energy lighting up the atmosphere. We're not just growing plants, we're growing relationships. Imagine potlucks, workshops for kids, and garden days where everyone pitches in. a place to gather, share, and heal. Jack saw eyes lighting up, caught in that vision. Even Frank seemed to soften for a moment. We can invite not just those of you who believe, but also those who are wary, Claire added, her voice steady and sure. Let us hear their concerns. Let us address them. Transparency is key. As the audience absorbed her words, a hand shot up from the back. It was Mia, her expression cautious but curious. Are you sure we want to dig up the past? It's hard when it feels like dreams have failed before. Jack felt a rush of empathy. He remembered when he doubted himself, standing on the edge of giving up. Mia, that's what makes this special, he replied, his voice earnest. We acknowledge our failures because they teach us. But we're here to transform our past, not bury it. Each of us can contribute to a future that reflects hope, not despair. With each exchange, the tension eased, the air thickening with a sense of collective purpose. As time passed, the discussions flowed and perspectives mingled. Jack knew this was it. The garden was evolving into something much more than a physical project. It was a foundation for renewal, for healing, for building solid ground. And as the sun dipped lower, casting golden hues across the park, Jack's heart soared. There was something beautifully exhilarating in seeing the community come alive with possibilities. Even Frank found himself part of the conversation, sharing practical insights from his own experiences. When they finally merged back into smaller groups to brainstorm, Jack caught Ryan's eye. I can't believe this is happening, he said, barely able to contain his excitement. Ryan smiled, a calming presence amidst the chaos. You did this, Jack. You helped them find their voice. Feeling a surge of warmth, Jack chuckled. It's not just me. It's all of us. We're friends fighting for each other. A unified front, and through that we're cultivating hope. In that moment, Jack understood that this was where strength resided in. The fabric of connection woven through their shared struggles and aspirations. Days turned into weeks, and with each passing moment, the garden began to take shape. The land became a lively space of laughter, joy, and small victories. As families gathered to plant seeds, friendships blossomed, and the warmth of community enveloped them like a cozy blanket. One crisp afternoon, as Jack looked out over the growing rows of vegetables and flowers, he felt renewed hope surge within him. They had faced down the storm, refused to give in to doubt, and together created something meaningful. Then came a beautiful sunset that painted the world in hues of orange and lavender. As children scraped their knees running across the grass, laughter echoed in the air, a sound sweeter than any he had imagined. Jack caught the triplets' eyes, each smiling with a new weight lifted off their shoulders. They were not just surviving, they were thriving. This was their victory, their transformation. And for Jack, it was a reminder that no one was alone in their fight. They were all worthy of the wonder that awaited them when they chose to face life as a collective family. Now more than ever, Jack understood the true essence of community. Not just neighboring houses, but hearts intertwined, growing together through life's storms. And right then, he knew it was time to take action. To everyone watching, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to the channel and not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it makes a difference. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this profound ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, let us cultivate hope and connection.